Good afternoon, or whenever you happen to be watching this, Pine Tar baseball fans. You know, I'm asked two questions constantly in my life. The first question is, what is your favorite magazine? And the second question is, how do you play in on Pine Tar baseball, and what happens when you do that? So I'm going to talk about my favorite magazine some other time, but today we're going to spend a few minutes going through the rules for playing in on Pine Tar baseball. So the first thing that I want to draw your attention to is that this is the rules section for playing in. It's found on page 19 of your Pine Tar baseball hymnal. So there are a few things to remember when deciding to play your infield in. Now, you may not do this that often, or maybe you're like Mike Matheny and you'll do it all the time. But regardless, let's go through what happens when you're playing in. All right, so the first thing that happens, and I've written these out, I keep a post-it by my Pine Tar things because I'm feeble-minded. And this is what my post-it looks like to remind me of the infield in rules. The first thing to remember is that you have to subtract 2 from your white die reading. So let's make this as simple as we can because basically I'm a simple guy. And let's roll the dice. So we have a 33 here, and what would happen on an infield in is that, of course, the colored die, red or blue, is your tens digit, and the white die is your ones digit. So the first thing that would happen here is that your 33 would drop to 31 on your reading. So let's suppose that we were using the new Negro League set PDF, which is available at ttlbaseballgame.com. And let's suppose that Cool Papa Bell was at the plate. The first thing that would happen is you would subtract 2 from the reading. So it goes from 33 to 31, drops to a walk. It stays in the walk range, you would think. But stay tuned, sports fans. Not so fast, as the very overrated Lee Corso would tell us. Because the second thing that happens is that your hit range increases by 3. Well, let's look back at Cool Papa Bell. We subtracted 2 to get down to 31, so I'll change that here. But your hit range goes from 28 now plus 3 to 31. So what was a walk becomes a single for Cool Papa Bell. Why is that important? Well, it affects base runner advancement, of course, and it means that all sorts of runners could score depending upon where they were and how fast they were and all that good stuff. But you subtract 2 from the ones die, and then you add 3 to the singles. Those are the first 2 things that you do. Subtract 2 from the ones die and add 3 to the single range. This is to simulate the concept that the infield is playing closer, and those batted balls have a better chance of getting through the infield. Now up here I wrote 0 as the lowest. So in other words, let's say we had a roll of 31. And you'd say, well, I'm going to subtract 2. That gets me to 29. No, it doesn't. It gets you to 30. And that's going to be important. At the lowest you can go is a 0 in the ones column. Even if that doesn't subtract 2, 0 is the lowest you can go. All right. So, Cool Papa Bell snuck a single through the infield. Now let's look at what happens on the chart. And the wonderful thing about Pine Tar baseball, of course, or one of the wonderful things, is that you have one page of charts. So let's look and see what this would be like. So if you're playing with the infield in, several things could happen. You might have runners at first and third, or maybe, yeah, if you have runners at first and third, let's look and see what happens. We started with a value of 33, and we subtracted 2. That gets us down to 31. So if we had a ground ball double play reading, which is where your ones digit would land you, you have a chance for a double play, but not when the infield is in. So if you're playing the infield in, let's suppose that this ball was hit to the second baseman. You subtract 2, it gets down to 1. We're in the ground ball DP column. But if you're in the ground ball DP column, that means that your out is at home plate. So if you have runners at first and third and you're looking at this chart, which is the one you should be looking at, and you see the ground ball double play, it means the second baseman fielded it and then threw home to get the runner trying to score from third. And that's it. So the runner on first would advance to second, and the batter would be safe at first. So that's the effect there. Now, the same thing could happen if you had a runner on third base with no runner on first. So let's look and see what that table would tell us. And that's right here. So ground ball to second, you go from 3 to 1, it turns into a PO3. And if it does that, then the fielder knocked it down, but was not able to get the play at the plate. The contact play was on, and the runner scores. And a hit to second, you'd have to get it down to a 0 for that runner to hold at third, even with the infield in. Sometimes they score even when the play is able to be made with the infield in. Now let's look at the bases loaded. Same thing. Ground ball double play, we have a 33, subtract 2, you get down to a 31. It's the ground ball to second. And then you can, with the bases, with the infield in, you don't have a choice. But with the infield back, you have a choice here to get the double play or the out at home. All right, so that would be the opportunity there. Notice what happens here. If you're in this column, and let's say we rolled a 36, it would subtract 2 to get down to 34, which puts us in the PO2 column. If you're in the PO2 column, that runner would hold at third, and the out would be made at first base in that event. So, and the other runners would advance. Notice that subtracting 2 gets you out of the runner advancing column, except if you're subtracting 2 from 9 or 8, you could still have a ground out where the runners move up. So in pine tar baseball, you can have the infield in and a ground out, but because the fielder didn't field it cleanly or whatever, that runner on third can still advance. It's just much less likely that he would do so because you're usually subtracted by 2 out of this column, even with the bases loaded. All right, and you'll notice the same thing is true here with a runner on first. If you, let's say you had first and third, you subtract 2, you're out of the runner advancement column. You're going to be knocked back into the fielder's choice area, and the runner would hold if it went to a fielder that would have normally allowed an advancement with the infield back. That is what you need to know about the infield in. So let's review. You take the ones die. We rolled a 33. We rolled a 33. We subtracted 2 to get back to 31, which is the first thing you have to do. The first thing you do is subtract your 2. You can't go lower than 0. And I think Robert Downey Jr. taught us that in the movie. Then you add 3 to the hits column. So this one took us to 31, but then we added 3 to 28, and that got us back to 31. So it was a hit for Cool Papa Bell. Your ground ball double play results mean the out is at home with no double play if the infield is in. If the infield is not in, you play it as normal with the possibility for advancement or a double play. But remember that the price of paying the infield in is the +3 to the hits. So you increase your chances of getting a base hit, of allowing a base hit by moving your infielders in. That's your price. You also lose the opportunity to get the double play. You can't have a double play with the infield in. All right. And I think that's it. If you have questions, please put them in the comments below. I hope this has cleared up any confusion. Lots of questions come at me about playing the infield in, so I decided to make a video to hopefully clear up confusion about that. And I hope this was helpful to you. If you have other questions, put them in the comments, and I'll make another video if I need to do that, if there's stuff that I haven't covered, or if you have other Pine Tar Rules questions. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a great day. My name's Kurt Berglund. Please click like and subscribe to my channel, and have a great day. So long, everybody.